good? Okay. We'll go ahead and get budget started for our Thursday, May 12th meeting. We start with public comment. And I don't see anyone here for public comment, so we're good there. We'll do our roll call. I know Alderman O'Brien is not here.
Is it not on?
Are we okay?
Seeing our live view.
Good. Okay. So I'm here, Alderwoman Johnson, Alderwoman Malone Marshall.
Present.
Alderman Ozinga.
Present.
Alderman Marzak.
Present.
Alderman Navarez.
Here.
And Alderman Jones.
Present.
Thank you. We have no presentations tonight. We have no old business. So under our new business, we have the approval of the April 14th minutes.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes.
Okay.
Over there.
And do we have a second?
Reggie?
I have an extra one here.
Here.
Oh, wait, we got stuff coming up.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Okay, so for our minutes, we have a first from Alderman Marzak, a second from Alderwoman Malone Marshall. I'll give you guys a minute. Do you need? You good? Okay. No, are you good to?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll go ahead and do a roll call on that. So I'm an aye. Alderwoman Malone Marshall?
Aye.
Alderman Ozinga?
Abstain, I wasn't here.
Okay. Thank you. Alderman Marzak?
Aye.
Alderman Navarez?
Abstain, I was not present.
Alderman Jones?
Aye.
Okay. Are we good? We haven't, okay. Do we have enough, is that?
4.
You got 4, right? Yes.
Yes.
As long as you got 4, you're good.
Okay.
Simple majority.
Okay, thank you. Then, and our next item is our April 2025 city financial statements. Comptroller Rogers.
So we are finally at 100% of the year. Oops, sorry. Is that better? We are finally at 100% of the year, the last month of the year, and I've done most of the accruals for all of the revenues. So revenue is definitely pretty much buttoned up. We have a few minor places that there may be changes, but for the most part, we've received everything that we're going to receive, or we've already accrued for it. So if we start with that first page, we had kind of discussed at the last meeting that the corporate replacement taxes ended up the year down. Fortunately, not quite as far down as I had anticipated. Our final payment was received May 2nd. It belongs to fiscal year 2025. It was the highest payment we'd received all year, and it was $229,000. So it did bring us back into a better position, but we're still ending the year 70% lower than what we had anticipated in the budget. And we'll see later in the figures of the executive overview, we're expecting that to drop again this year. Franchise fees, we had discussed those at the last meeting as well. They end up at 66%, and we've accrued for everything that we're going to receive for the fiscal year. It's just one of those that is on a downward trend. Same with building permits and fees. We are in a very good place with licenses, and overall, that top section of taxes was 98.5% what we had budgeted, so really we finished up the year pretty well there. If we go up to the second page, Service charges really came in healthy this year. We budgeted 154, but we brought in 222,000, almost 223,000. That's for the services that fire and police charge for outside of the city. So that ended up in a really good place. Grants was a little abysmal this year, but I think that has more to do with the federal government and how they're doing than how we're doing. Fines, we had seen before that fines were probably going to end up the year being significantly under, but it does appear that the month itself is back on an upward trend, so hopefully next year we can make up ground on that. Liens was low as well. Interest and other, there are a couple entries that I still have to make here, so this is probably going to go up. But we're at 110%, almost 111% for the year. So that's in a really good position, which puts us overall less than 2% under what we had budgeted for the year in revenues. And like I say, the only adjustments that I know of that are coming our way will be increases to those revenues, not decreases. Did you have a question? No? There really isn't a whole lot of note to talk about on the expenditures in these first few pages. We continue to be under budget. Most of our departments came in under budget, either significantly or at least enough to offset where the revenue differences were. Salaries, there will be a small adjustment there. The last accrual, we need to back out last year's accrual and put in this year's accrual. That payroll was just Friday. I have not gotten those entries in yet, but there shouldn't be much of a swing there because we accrued for 11 days last year. That's getting backed out. We're only having to accrue for 9 days this year. That's getting put in. So if anything, it may actually decrease our salaries slightly. Not enough to celebrate over, but still better than an increase. If we go up to where we see the totals, which is page 13, we are nearly 10% under budget. Like I say, there are some entries and some accruals that have to go in yet, but not enough to knock us back up that high. So I anticipate we're going to end the year significantly under budget. To me, 10% is significantly under budget. If we flip up to our cash page, we've increased the cash. We settled out some of the ARPA funds, so I made all of the transfers year-to-date for what ARPA owed the general fund. So you'll notice that that fund is about 1.8 million higher than it was. Part of that is revenues that came in, but a big chunk of that was ARPA and moving the money. Same with Illinois funds. They had a significant increase. Most of the Illinois fund increase, though, were just revenues that had come in for April, which included the $229,000 that I didn't expect to be that high on the property, personal property taxes. ARPA went down, as you can tell, because we paid off all of the other funds. So we're overall in really good shape as far as cash on hand. And then the last page, I will leave to the mayor to go over, but I did want to see if anybody had questions on what we covered so far on the statements.
Question,
Yes.
question.
Oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
On the planning, where it says the engineering plans, maybe you explained that before and I might have missed it. What was we didn't budget so much on that, or what happened with the engineering plats?
Are you on the,
On page 6 of the, what is this? Expenditures.
I believe that we had not expected that to be as high as it was. That was a brand-new department, that planning department. So last year was the first year that they'd done a budget in several years. I believe the city used to have a planning department, but hadn't for several years. So my guess is when we put in the budget, we did not do quite well.
We'll have to get some answers from Director King a little bit, but some of it, in the past, we've had Mike Hoffman doing some stuff, so she's been getting a lot of what I call one-time permanent expenses as she's been doing everything, all these plats throughout the city and everything onto her computer, so she'll have them, she won't have to get them in the future. But as she's working in each area, she's downloading a lot of significant different subdivisions and different areas and stuff like that. So I think that's what a lot of that is. I don't expect it would be
And I
up.
believe a lot of it is in advance of Tyler coming,
Yes.
so that we have the data, so we can enter it in that new Tyler software.
We'll get a
I
better.
was kind of thinking that has something to do with how we are redoing we're making sure that they're having the proper titles, like
She went through all of it to
residential,
make sure
commercial and
residential
stuff.
versus commercial was correct, and all of that
Correct.
was kind of in advance of Tyler coming on. And I don't think we knew we were going to need to do that when we were looking at budget last year.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that we was kind of clear of how we were working that, because we did have a lot of work done in the city like that, so.
A lot of times it would have just been billed in Tesca's bills. Where
Right,
this is now being straight through the city or whatever, so there's an upcrease, but we'll get a better answer for you on that, so. But I don't think that would be an ongoing thing every year. It's just starting that department up from really scratch in probably 8 to 10 years, so.
right, and a lot of corrections have been done of our plats,
We found a
so.
lot of places
Oh,
that
yeah.
needed to be changed.
Okay, I just wanted to make a note to that.
Real quick, Mayor, I'm just looking at a couple of things here. And I don't know exactly how we're going to deal. I see the hotel taxes went down. I know we raised it a little bit.
What page are you on?
Page 3. I'm on page 3.
Revenue?
Yes, Comptroller, I'm on page 3. It's just two things that I was just kind of looking at, and it was down. The miscellaneous revenue, where does that come from when we say miscellaneous revenue? It was, I guess it was down. We had 59%.
So on hotel
On
tax,
390, that would be 399, and the hotel is 396. I see we're significantly.
hotel, I'll defer a little bit, but we have some accrual back there, probably will happen too with May and some things, probably, or not?
We're actually probably caught up. The one piece that we have not gotten our arms around are the hotels that are being run as Airbnbs. We have never really gotten a good feeling for who out there is running them. Dawn had been kind of working on that, trying to figure out how we got our arms around that. But we collected nothing this year.
Right, okay.
So I think the hotel tax part is okay, it's up to date.
Okay,
But that Airbnb part, we have not been able to get our arms around.
the miscellaneous revenue, where did we get that? Yeah, I just see 208, and we budgeted for 350.
I'm going to defer to, I don't know what's in that line item there.
Yeah, and I will have to look at that and get back to
Okay,
you.
okay.
And let you know.
I say the other thing on hotel, I don't know, when we budgeted last year hotel tax, I'd have to go back and look at our notes. Remember, we didn't start collecting that till July. So you would have had May and June. I don't know if we did a full year, if we prorated properly what we thought would come in there, but that
Oh, and
hotel,
that was
yeah.
kind of a shot in the dark.
Right.
Because we didn't know, it was the first year of collecting it. We didn't have a solid figure to project it on.
Right, right.
Mayor, I'm going to compliment the firefighting force. We budgeted $250,000 for overtime, and they only used 50% of that. Very good job, gentlemen. On page 9, firefighting force, They use 50% of their overtime.
I did want to also, while we're there, because it'll be talking about on the next page of budget here, under, if you look under firefighting force, no, is it firefighting force? No.
Here?
I'm trying to figure out, is it under, oh, maybe it's not where I thought it was. Chief, where would the salaries, there'd be small salary, you'll see in a bit here, it's overall, it's good. We'll have some, because we haven't settled that contract yet, we're going to have to carry forward some of the pay increases. We budgeted for that last year, and that won't make last year's fiscal come this year, so it'll almost be like a double escalation there, but we'll talk about that in the upcoming budget.
Okay.
Okay. Do we have any other questions? Okay. Our next item is the executive overview of the 2026 budget factors.
Does everybody have this sheet? It's a one-page sheet, should be your last page in the packet, I believe.
Oh, last page, okay.
Okay.
Yes.
Take me by the hand, show me the way.
So you'll see, this is how we've usually started everything, showing you additional revenues, reductions, decreases, expenses. In the past, a lot of times we've had a number there, it's been a little shock and awe. You know, we're down 800,000, we have a deficit of 1.2 million. So a lot of hard work was put into this here to show that this will be a fluctuation, I believe, before the next budget meeting of some up and downs, and we'll go through it. But as the first draft here, it shows a surplus of 167 or just under $168,000. Now, we expect that number to move as I go through here, as we talk about some things like sales taxes, some other salary expenses. Over the next couple weeks, Comptroller Rogers and City Manager Kubo will be meeting with department heads to finalize and get very detailed numbers within each line items. But there's some things like salaries and all that that they feel pretty good about so far because those are contractual, so they kind of know what those are going to be in some different levels. But this is, we're going to go through and kind of show you where we're at, where some changes have been made. This could fluctuate upward and backwards lots of different ways here in the next 30 days. But I think it's very easy to say that it'll definitely be a solid balanced budget, and it will have some type of surplus in it moving forward. We've been very fortunate the last 3 to 4 years that we've come in with projected revenues close to 98 to 100%, with expenses ranging anywhere from 90 to 94%. That is going to get tougher as each year moves forward. You can only trim so much before you run out of room for trimming. And then it's just, I think, as we talk through here, I think revenues are going to be a little more difficult. Again, remember, we're trying to collect a lot of less things, whether it be through property taxes, whether it be through fees and fines, whether it be through even going back to the vehicle sticker, working on some other things. So when you start reducing revenue, you're going to close that gap a little bit more. So these days of having 7-figure surpluses, I think, are going to be very difficult going forward, but we can still have that balanced budget moving forward. So as you look through here, you're going to see overall there's a total revenue increase of 1.15 million, and we'll just kind of go through this. The first big line item you're going to see is number 1, increase to property taxes due to EAV growth. Well, it's really not an increase in property taxes. What that is it's the EAV growth. What you've got there is you've got the developments that are coming online. You're seeing the existing properties, values rise. You're seeing things like Ricky Rockets coming online or other developments or Pegash's engineering building and other things. That adds to more money to the bottom line because we've got more properties bringing in more money. So it's not an increase in property taxes to the residents. What it is an increase of property taxes, more people paying property taxes in due to new developments. So, and that's part of that there. Decrease to the corporate replacement tax. Comptroller Rogers talked about that earlier. It was significantly under with the 229, you said, or 220,000 increase. That'll get us closer. We're going to reduce that line item by $100,000 because you can see it came in less this year than the 1.5 that we had projected. If I remember, that was the right number. We have an increase to the sales tax, And the home rule tax, that home rules tax is a 2%. Of 250, 150, that's one that I'd like to talk with city manager and comptroller about. I'm a little hesitant to budget any increase there. I think things are getting tougher for people. Are people going to be buying cars or bigger ticket items? I think that's going to be a pullback. We don't sell a lot of that. But this is one area that, as a budget committee, I'd like to hear your opinions, but why an increase is good, I might feel more comfortable if we just stay with the same numbers that we had this year, and if it comes in higher, so be it. That'd be good. But if it doesn't, we don't handcuff ourselves, because I think even restaurants, establishments, all kinds of things, there's smaller crowds, people's dollars just aren't going as far these years, and I think there's going to be it's a prediction. If we could predict it well, we'd all be on a beach somewhere. But I think there will be slight pullback in consumer spending. That's my own opinion. So that's one that I think we need to look at a little bit. Decrease to local use tax, that's due to trend data, a decrease of $125,000. Decrease to the cannabis excise tax. I'll work with comptroller on this here, but if you remember, we budgeted, I believe, $260,000 last year. We bring in about $36,000 from the state from overall cannabis sales in the state, the allocation they give to us. But then we had budgeted roughly $225,000 from the dispensary. The numbers that we're seeing coming in are nowhere near that. When that came in, they projected it would be close to $500,000. I thought that was a big number. We said, let's go with half of that. I wish it was the half. It's not trending that way. So based on trend and data, unless something changes, that cannabis tax is not coming in like anything that was projected that we're seeing from a local level. I don't know if that's because there's 3 of them in this community or what, so we're going to reduce that by, what do we take that down, $90,000. Increase in utility water tax, that was increased. We're seeing the trend up that way, and quite frankly, people are paying more for water now, so we expect that's probably going to go up. The telecommunication tax, a decrease, again, due to trends. People are getting rid of home landlines, things like that, so we're seeing that go down. Increase to liquor licenses, we added up due to the trend that you just saw in your budget there. There are, it's not that we raised the fees or anything, but there are more liquor licenses out there, and so that raised up, we're raising that by $15,000. Franchise fees down. Again, you're seeing less things with different utilities, especially, I think in that one, correct me if I'm not wrong, it's really a lot in the Comcast or the television. People are cutting the cable, and they're going to streaming and other ways to watch TV, so that's a significant decrease there. Increase to ambulance fees. I do know that Chief LaRoche will have to get with the comptroller and city manager. The trending is that way. It's put in there right now. That's a line item I think we need to hold and discuss and let the chiefs figure out if that's a realistic number that can happen. I mean, right now, it's trending up that way. I think we budgeted 3.9 last year. It's trending well over 4.2, but we got to see if that can continue with some discussions and everything. But for right now, that's in there. That, a lot like the sales tax, I think is a moving line item that we need to take a look at. Building permits and fees, down 120. We had a lot of projects last year that came in and stuff. Why there are some things on the horizon here, we don't have a lot of those big items. We'll have the QT, but a lot of our big projects that pulled permits and pulled those last year. If the Jeffers deal goes through, that'll be a big permit. There'll be some other things. But again, we also just gave a reduction in permits for the Indian Meadows and some things, so we're pulling back on that one, just to be conservative. I think we'll still have a lot of economic growth happening, but again, let's err on the side of caution. Contractor licenses are up. We're seeing more contractors rehabbing homes and doing work, so we raised that. Grant revenue, as you saw, we've recruited, it's just grants are getting a little more difficult. We did that one increase there, $30,500 for the, you saw those fees for emergency response, smoke detectors, false alarms, outside sourcing and things that was up, so we're budgeting for that also. Fines, code lien revenue, and miscellaneous income all down to what you just saw in the budget there, trending. Again, seeing code lien revenue and fines down, I say is a good thing and a bad thing. We can use the money, but again, we're not here to, I don't think we ever want to be a municipality that's penalizing our residents I know that adjudication is making a lot of deals, trying to get people to comply more than penalize. If somebody will come in and say, we'll comply and fix it, I think a lot of breaks are given on liens and fines just to get into compliance more than to penalize them with revenue, so. So overall, when you add up all those increases, decreases, a big number there is we've got more properties bringing in more property taxes, which is what we should strive for and continue to do over the next coming years, but we see an increase of 1.15 million into revenues of the budget. As you move down to additional reduction of expenses, or addition and a reduction of expenses, the first one up there you see additional contractual salary increases, 500,000. We've got a lot of things there. We've renewed a lot of contracts, and so they all have increases of, most of them are trending 4% in that first year, or 3.5 into the second years. We got to account for that. As I mentioned before, we haven't settled the fire contract yet, so remember, when we do settle that, we will have to go all the way back to May 1 of 2025. All of last year's, whatever that agreement of the contractual salary is, plus this year, that all have to be built into this budget. So while there's a surplus, a nice surplus you see in this past fiscal year budget, it's not 100% accurate. It's still going to be very strong. But we got to remember there's some things that didn't fall in last year's fiscal budget that's going to fall in this year and have to be a carry forward. Additional expenses for new staffing requirements, that looks like a big number, but if you remember, we had a lot of things last year that we did, and I took a note on it, what it means. Some of these were prorated last year, so I'm going to go through. We're talking about getting that a grant accountant, help up in the comptroller's office for grants, help for other things there. That would be a new position that we built into the budget that we talked about. The Office of Violence Prevention, we had talked about the other night, potentially 1 to 2 new hires there. That can equate to close to $100,000 there. Remember, city manager, when she came on in July, not May 1, so you got that was a prorated. Adjudication, Chanel, she came on later. There's an upgrade to that. Melissa King came on later. There's an adjustment for that. And then we have, we are down a lot of additional code officers last year, and they're up there now. So that 341,000, really, there's only 1, 2, potentially 3 or 4, 3 new jobs that potentially could come online. A lot of it's a proration of how jobs were last year. You've got joint dispatch, that's your 911 dispatch. They have a 4% increase, so that's put into there. Animal control, we budgeted an extra $10,000. I really firmly believe, this is my opinion, I believe entering into an animal control contract would be a good thing for the city. That is up for a code committee to decide if they want to bring that forward, but you know, that extra going from the budget of $25,000 into a contract at $35,000, just even last month our bill was $3,500, but taking it out of having to call police, taking it out of having to call code, where you could just call animal control directly, I think is a benefit for the community. We had the finances. I think it's an easy $10,000 spend for the safety and the ability for the public, in my opinion. Alderman Jones.
Thank you, Mayor. What would that look like? Does that mean anytime we call somebody for dogs or whatever, because I know code deals with that, we just call anybody? I mean, we just call them and they'll take care of cats and...
You call animal control, if we enter into a contract, you call animal control straight, or if you end up calling 911, they call 911, calls animal control directly, and we're out of it. They come, they handle it, they pick up the dog, they do all that stuff.
Is it only on the streets or is it on private property? There's a reason why I'm asking.
Oh, it'd be a running loose dog can be on private property, they can grab it, yes. So.
Okay.
But it's anything. It's even the fact of, we get a lot of time residents will call and they think a dog is being chained up or being harmed. Right now, they would have to call code would have to go analyze, call the police would have to go check it out. Right now, you would just call, the neighbor would call and say, I think this dog, it doesn't have water, I think it's being left out in the cold, I think it's left in being in heat. They'd call animal control and they would go straight out and make that determination. It wouldn't be the police or the code that would be making that determination.
I like
Would police be going in and helping if there's a situation where you might have Chief, you might say it's better, but if you've got a dog that has attacked somebody, there's a good chance police are going to show up because 911's called and just make sure that there's help or assistance, or fire might show up because of an attack. But But anyways, I put into the budget $10,000, that'll be to determine what you guys want to do, so.
Mayor, with this animal control, would they be an employee of the city, or is it still county?
This is through the county. So we pay the county right now, we budget $25,000 to the county. A new animal control contract would be budgeted at 35,
Okay, thank you.
And one more question, Mayor. Is there a set time of the day, or are they gonna?
24/7.
All right. I like that. Okay.
Additional expense and reductions for departments is $41,000. That is a lot of small items that was put together. There could be 2,000 here, 1,500 there, 4,000 here, 8,000 there. It was just all lumped together. We'll have a better breakdown for you in the next draft, but that came up to about 41, so we just kind of lumped that there. Of additional expenses. Additional expense for the neighborhood stabilization, that's been in there. As I mentioned a week ago, as a big priority, I'd like to get off the ground, including having the $100,000 demo line item in there, the $25,000 assistance for helping homes, owner-occupied homes, with fixing up their properties, also additional money for repairing homes. So we added $100,000 to that line item as an initiative to do what we want to do, at least I would like to do over the next 12 to 18 months, is stabilize our neighborhoods with abandoned homes, boarded-up homes, and just homes in general. Adding money there to help take care of needs that we have to, whether it's demoing of houses, people needing assistance to fix up things. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, under that one, are we hiring someone?
We don't know. It would be prorated if we did, but it's in there, but we'll have to see if we can pull that off. That would be ideal, but that's not built into, it's in the budget, whether it happens with an additional person. Right now, there's been talk of just myself and city manager running it with code ourselves for the time being, for the first 6 to 8 months, getting it off the ground and then looking to see what it takes for. So I do not have, at this point, I'm not planning to post for that position.
Okay. So we're looking at $250,000 for that program next year?
Just to help with homes in the area without a salary. But eventually, we need to get a salary in there, but I'm hoping that myself and city manager can run with this for at least the rest of this year.
Okay, thank you.
Did you say, is that 100? You said 250?
Well, last year we budgeted our
150.
150. and
We're adding
then-
100 to it.
Right, you might add, okay, so we'll be at 250.
250 for
All right.
stabilization.
Good, okay. All right, I got it.
The next are insurances, workers' comp, liability. We don't know what those are going to be. Last year, we had one down, one up. Come December, we get renewed. I will say we've had a lot of claims this year. We seem to bang our cars into a lot of things. We had a small microburst that took off the salt shed. We've got workers' comp claims. So we budgeted increases there. I hope those are too much, but we're going to be guessing on what happens after December 1 because we can't predict what insurance does. Last year, we were very happy. One went up, one went down. It felt like it was almost a net, but we got to project 6 months' worth of insurance come December 1. Health insurance, we feel really solid about. Remember, that comes online, is that May 1? So that comes online May 1, so we know what our renewal is for the next year. It was an 8.8% increase. That's a big number, but I'm going to tell you what, being anything under double digits in the health industry right now is really solid. We should be very thrilled that we have an 8.8 on health insurance. I've heard of municipalities have got 13, 15, 18% increases in their health insurance. Part of that, too, is we're a younger staff these days. The reality is when we're younger, we're just a little healthier. As we get older, we find we need a little more help. So, electric, street, and traffic is an increase of $50,000. Electric costs are just going up. We went into the aggregation plan that we approved. It's no longer at that 2.9, it's up in the 5s. It's just electric has gotten more expensive to run our traffic lights, our street lights. Reduction to accounting cost, I'll be honest, we could not know why this was, but we didn't use it, and we don't know why we had that in there, but.
I think we had that pending issue with the IRS.
Okay.
And we weren't sure that was completely buttoned up.
Okay.
That's what Elizabeth had said.
Okay, so we've got 20,000 less there, so we should be, that's a good one there. And then, general fund capital, if you remember, each year, we did $1.5 million of self-funding capital last year. We reduced it by $500,000 to $1 million. That's still $1 million for self-funding of capital versus borrowing money. I'd like it to be 1.5. I don't know we're going to get there. There may be some plays worth here. We think when this is all said and done, we might be able to get that up another 100 or 2. But I'll tell you what, we used to have 0 till 2 years ago. If we still have a 7-figure number of 1 million, I'd be thrilled with that. I thought it would be a lot less. I thought it could be down in the $500,000 range. But that'll be a number that goes up and down based on how we do things. Again, what is that? That is all the things this is how we're buying cars and how we're making improvements and things. Instead of borrowing the money, we're just paying straight cash for it and saving the residents money over a 20-year period. If you do look at your line item right before the page, if you look at capital portion, it's hovering right around 650,000. It's a pretty low number. I know the comptroller's office, I'll maybe speak for them a little bit. When it gets below 7 figures, it gets a little nerve-wracking for them when capital's below $1 million. So if you look there, the changes to that is an additional 982,745. The last part you see is pension charges. That's just a pass-through. Whatever we got to pay, we pay. Whatever we collect, we collect. We broke it out. It's just, if it's 1,349, we collect it, we pay it to the pensions. It's just a pass-through. Whatever is collected is passed through. But you'll see this has got a budget of $168,000 for a surplus. This is a good start where we're at. It's positive. We're not into the negative. Can we get it better? We'll find out. But there'll be some changing numbers as they meet with all the departments and other stuff. I don't think you'll see drastic changes here, but I think overall, we're trying to just get through with a balanced budget. And, I'd be happy with a $167,000 surplus that has $1 million self-funding capital line item in it. But again, we're going to play with that a little bit. I could see that self-funding capital line decrease a little bit because I'm a little concerned about sales taxes, and then we have to get and see about ambulance fees and some other things. So I'd rather be more conservative about sales tax than put it out there and fall short on it. So, questions?
Yeah. The sales tax, I know there was changes to the grocery tax. Where did that land? Do you remember?
So it's still in effect. The 1% grocery tax is in effect till December 31st of this year.
Okay.
You will probably see that come on. We were very clear, at least I've been very clear. You'll see that, and probably most municipalities will probably bring that on in June. I expect the city of Kankakee would bring that on in June to keep the 1% grocery sales tax. We have to do that by August 1st, or maybe it's October 31st. But anyways, we want to do it well in advance. You got to give the Department of Revenue at least 3 months before they can start it. I think you're going to find that probably I bet you could go as high as 95% of municipalities across the state are going to keep that 1% grocery sales tax. It does not go to the state. It comes straight to the municipalities. As I said before, it's no different than probably what Bradley, and I know Bourbonnais and all of them are going to do it. A lot of outside people pay that 1% to us. Why it's a lot of our residents and stuff, that 1% we'll talk a lot about, it comes from areas outside of, can be Shabantz, or it could be Herscher, or it could be Moments that are shopping in the city of Kankakee, and that helps us with our revenue. Also, I know a lot of times they say get rid of the 1% sales tax, it helps the people that are struggling financially. If you're on certain SNAP or link cards and different things, the tax is exempt to begin with. So you aren't paying tax when you have those cards anyway. So it's not hurting the people that maybe need it the most or whatever. So so we will be bringing to council. We'll talk about it probably in the June budget meeting. I would expect the second meeting in June. We would bring that back to council to adopt and keep the 1% grocery sales tax in the city of Kankakee. And I think you'll find that 9 out of 10, probably closer to 9.5 out of 10 communities are going to do the same, and they're all targeting about June.
Okay. Thank you.
It's about $1.1 million to the city of Kankakee.
Right, that's what I was going to ask about that number, because, it's going to be a tough year with no ARPA money and things of that nature. And I know we love to cut everything, but are we going to be able to make sure we're going to maintain? Because we got a standard, from what I can remember, with all the contracts we've gotten. Cuts do sound great, but are we going to still be able to maintain, because running a business is running a business. I mean, I think I heard the number 3432, it's a bunch of them that we approved. Are we going to be able to do it with the sales tax that was lingering? I mean, it was a lot of stuff lingering that maybe we need to look at, I'll look at a little bit more, but I just want to make sure that we're going to be sound when all this is said
We
and
are.
done.
There are no, this does not have any cuts to it or anything of that nature. We're still providing all the services that we need to for our residents.
Right.
We're just doing it as lean as possible and trying to stay below the annual cost increases and stuff, so. But no, yes, part of it is we're not, if anything, we're adding, as we talked about. We talked about the Office of Violence Prevention. We talked about additional help in the comptroller's office. There's other places that we've talked about additional help. So, salaries are always the most expensive, so, never really want to start driving up salaries 8, 9, 10 people at a time. So we try to just do where we can do it and work with the team that we got here, so.
Right, no, I wasn't talking about bringing them.
But are we reducing any of this stuff? Actually, we're doing more. So if you look at, we're buying more equipment, doing things with capital and everything.
Okay.
We're trying to do as much without borrowing. It's getting more difficult each year, but as I mentioned a week ago, we're up 61% from 4 years ago. We have you can see it in the back page here. We're in a solid financial position. I think there's still some tough economic times coming forward. I don't think we're looking at a recession. I don't think we're looking at something that we saw 15 years ago. But I think there's a slight pullback, and that's cyclical. We've seen it in 91, 95, 99, 03, 08. It happens all the time. And I think we're in one of those little trends right now, and we're in a position at the city of Kankakee that we can endure it.
Okay, thank you.
So the next stages will be, we'll bring another draft to you, and we expect that draft to be very solid and tweaked even better. But again, the goal tonight was to get this to you and not have the shock and awe of, okay, we're an $800,000 deficit. We always figure out how to balance it, but we're strong enough financially right now that we're at a surplus budget right now, and we'll start tweaking it to see if we can even make it stronger.
Okay. We can look for that in the first June meeting, or I guess.
I would expect that you would have in our June meeting, and at the budget meeting, we'd have our draft 2 for you. That would be pretty strong and solid.
Okay, good. Okay. Our next, if we have any alderman questions or concerns?
And I'll just, before I go, Comptroller Rogers, anything you want to add, or just?
Nope, I think you
Okay.
pretty much covered it.
Okay. No need for executive session? And then I have 6:15, I think.
I'll make the motion.
Thank you for adjournment. Okay, all in favor?
Second.
Oh, sorry, thank you. Second from Alderwoman Malone Marshall. And then all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed?
Anyone opposed?
Well, I could.